I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite Lorecast on the Citadel.
Welcome to the Mass Effect Lorecast, the podcast where we explore the vast universe of lore behind the Mass Effect games. We'll talk about all the details you may have missed, ask the hard questions, and more.
Binge Lunatics in chat says Tom should add El Cortone comments excitedly. The Mass Effect Lorecast is going live, and that totally. I just read that and it made me stop saying, "Hey Spectres, welcome to the Mass Effect Lorecast. We're back. We're live. We're running a little bit late this week, but we've got a really cool episode or two for you potentially about some survey results. I have Sam here with me. He's a little under the weather. Sam, you doing okay, buddy?
I'm alive. I'm vertical. But if I have to pause mid-sentence, it is because I'm coughing a little bit. But I'm here and I'm alive and I'm happy to bring these results to you.
Yeah, and our expert in the ways of data and parsing and the parsing of data and the data of parsing, Cloudy Atlas is joining us. Cloudy, how's it going?
Good. I'm also alive.
Sweet. We all have that in common. Very nice. Well, guys, we've got a lot of data to get through. I know that if you listen to the last episode, you will be familiar with the fact that we had a survey out there again, out on the internets, seeing how you guys would answer some of these questions about Mass Effect. And we have 25 different questions with some potentially surprising results. Why don't we go ahead and just dig into this? Where do we start? Cloudy?
Right on.
Or Sam? Sam, did you want to chime in?
Oh, I was just going to explain, what was different about this survey as opposed to the last one. So basically, the point of this survey was to quiz people on their canon playthrough. So that was the thing that everyone had to keep in mind while they were answering each of these 25 questions. And the questions ranged from everything as simple as, did you play male ship or female ship, to things that were more complicated, like, if there was a spin-off Mass Effect TV show and anime, which of these settings would you prefer? And then we gave some examples. And we have a lot to go through. So we'll break down these results from the survey into 2 episodes. And this episode, we're going to try and just cover the first half of this survey. So 25 questions. We'll try to get through the first 14 in this half. But like you said, Cloudy's joining us again. And Cloudy, you have a background in statistics, right?
I do, yeah. This is my day job, so I've brought it into something else I love doing, which is playing Mass Effect. So,
awesome.
And since this is a sci-fi game, I think a lot of people can appreciate that. I mean, we saw a pretty decent reception from the last survey episode that we did. It seemed a lot of people were pretty interested in that. And this time, we have gotten more than 300 respondents on the survey. More than 318 to be exact. I was baffled at that number. It was over 100 within like an hour, I think.
I've never seen a number that large.
I've literally never worked with a number larger than 318.
Yep.
Never.
Never. So, well, why don't we get started with this? Why don't we jump in? And you guys want to start with question 14? Is this where we're starting? We're starting in the middle.
I was actually thinking we could start at 1, work our way to 14, and then at 14, we'll cover the rest.
Oh, stop at question. I'm sorry. I'm misreading the notes. Stop at question 14. Got it. That makes sense. All right. So here, tell you what, you guys read out the question, and then I'll show the answers on screen, and we'll discuss it.
And I know that this is a little bit, you have the answers on screen as well, but if you haven't looked at the results for one question yet, why don't we do a fun thing where you try to guess the results, and we'll tell you.
Me?
Off.
I mean, I've got them all up on the screen because I'm prepping it.
Okay.
But I think what we should do is let's ask the audience what they think, and then the people who are live can put in what they think the answers are, and then we'll reveal it as we discuss it.
That sounds fun. Yeah, okay. That sounds fun. Okay, so number 1, did you play male Shepard or female Shepard? And for this one, I included 3 answers: male Shep, fem Shep, and non-binary Shep, because it is an RPG and you can play however you want. So how many, for our listeners and for the chat here live, how many percentage-wise of players do you think played fem Shep as opposed to male Shep and non-binary Shep?
So, yeah. So chat, if you were to split this up percentage-wise, how many for each? Male, female, non-binary? We'll give them a second to chime in. Now, why don't we show the results while they're throwing some answers up on screen or up in the chat? All right. So go ahead and start discussing it, and then I'll put the thing up in just a second.
So, Cloudy, you want to read these off for us?
Yeah. So, wait, are we going to put in our guesses first, or are we just going to read them off?
So I prior would have guessed, before I knew, I would have guessed that it would have been exactly 50-50.
Really? Because I think guessed more men.
Yeah, I would guess more men because most gamers are men, and most people tend to play themselves. Or not most gamers, but more people who tend to play these types of games tend to skew male.
Right, and it's a role-playing game. Right. You know, you try to put yourself in the scenario. But I was aware of the fact that our primary method of dissemination for the survey was on Twitter, and I was just operating from I've been very active on Mass Effect Twitter for a while, and so I was operating on the assumption that there would be more females who responded to the survey than males.
I think that's also true.
That's what I've gathered on video game Twitter, especially BioWare Twitter.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. All right. So here's the answers. I'm popping them up on the screen. We have 53.5% male, 44.6% female, and then the remainder, which is 1.9%, is non-binary.
Right, man. So this didn't surprise me too much. I mean, it did a little bit that there were actually more femsheps than male shep. However, like conversations I've had with the community, I feel like I've spoken to far more male players who were welcoming of the idea or said that they liked the idea of playing as femshep than I have spoken to female Mass Effect gamers who like the idea of playing as broshep.
Yeah. So, did I say that wrong? 53.5% femshep, 44.6 male shep. I think I said it wrong. And given that, you know, it is 300 responses, I think it's statistically valid to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Cloudy, but probably statistically valid to say that it's more or less half and half.
Definitely. I was surprised by this one because BioWare recently did that release of their statistics from what people did with the Legendary Edition, and they had it at 60% played male shepherd. So I was super surprised that it was this even, and I came in with the bias that I expected more male shepherds than anything. So this made me really happy.
You know what probably would have been a smart thing in retrospect was to have the first question be, what do you consider yourself? Like, what are you? That. And then we would have more of a sense of like what percentage we're starting with and how many people play alternate to how they identify themselves. But yeah, we didn't do that.
I had thought about that, and I thought, you know, we're probably getting into the realm of personally identifying information if we go that route. And don't get me wrong, it is interesting of the things that are personal identifying information and how they overlap with how you play. But I didn't want to kind of cross into that realm.
Right.
But we can move on to number 2.
All right.
So number 2, who did you save on Virmire? And of course, on Virmire, that's the key mission in Mass Effect 1, where it's an inevitable sacrifice. And no matter what you do, you got to pick either Ashley or Kaiden to detonate the bomb and ultimately die. And so I want to give a second for people to kind of guess what the differential was. There's only 2 possible answers, Ashley or Kaiden.
Yeah. Who do you think got the most? Ashley or Kaiden? And then by how much? If you want to throw out extra numbers in there, what percentage did it skew more one than the other?
And Cloudy, what would your guess have been before we knew these answers?
Honestly, my guess was Ashley was going to win by just a lot more, like a large margin, statistically significant. It was going to be a big deal because, like my bias I said earlier, I expected a lot of shepherds to be male. So I expected a lot of them to want to save the female companion or possibly their love interest and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I had the same perspective. I have the same assumption here. Here's the results. Let's pull them up. So we have 48.7% Kaiden, 51.3% Ashley. So that's a differential of almost 3%.
Yeah, I mean 1.3% net. About that. So 1.3%. I don't think our margin of error was smaller than that. So I think that this is statistically valid to say that it is again a toss-up. But again, like Tom and Cloudy, like you said, if you were under the assumption that most respondents and most Mass Effect gamers were male, it would make sense why you would assume why Ashley might be the one who got saved more often on Virmire, and especially with something that Cloudy and I were talking about earlier with the way that BioWare's own statistics reported this. I think. Do you remember the number that they had said saved Ashley?
Oh, I think I have it up.
I don't recall off the top of my head. Yeah.
When we had spoken about it earlier, it was almost like hand in hand with the number that had played Broshep, right?
60% saved Ashley, according to BioWare, for Legendary Edition.
And there you go. I mean, 60-some% played as Broshep, 60% save Ashley. I feel like there's a correlation there. But in our own responses, it was half and half, with Ashley just having a little bit of a lead, 1.3%. So yeah, I would like to send this message out to BioWare Twitter, because I know Ashley Mancers are very quiet on there. You are not alone, apparently. So, and neither are Kaiden Mancers. You are equally significant.
Nice. All right. Are you ready to move to the number 3?
Right on. Let's do it.
All right. So this one says, which ending did you choose for Mass Effect 3? Control, synthesis, destroy, or refusal? What do you think? I mean, this is our audience. We should say, what did our audience pick? And by what kind of margin here? And I know this will take a little bit for people in chat to type, but what do you guys think?
After having spoken to our patrons and our audience a lot, I was really cemented in my opinion that the majority would choose destroy, the red ending.
By how much?
Honestly, like a 3-to-1 ratio. So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here, why don't we show it? Here's the results. We have 68.4% destroy. So look at that. That's like 2/3 of that pie. 22.5% synthesis. Control is 9.2%, and refusal is non-existent. I don't think it's on the chart at all.
Nope, not a single person refused. It's the worst. It's not my favorite ending. I don't want to put my bias in there, but that would be a very interesting choice to put in 100 hours in a game and then refuse.
Oh, yeah, I will 100% stick my bias right in there and say that destroy is my preferred ending. That's not a secret, though. However, I am surprised at 9.2% of respondents. So 9.2% of 300. That's roughly about 27 people. That's quick maths in my head. Quick maths from the journalist. So yeah, very unreliable.
Pretty close. Sure.
27-ish people said that they chose control. I would like to have a word with them.
Binge Lunatics in chat says, I'm disappointed in 90.8% of you people.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the control one, I was talking about it with Cloudy again earlier, and I said, I'm not surprised if you went into the control ending and you chose it because you thought, I'm going to take the burden upon myself. I don't want to change anyone's life, and I don't want to kill anyone. Then I understand why you chose that one. I totally get it. If you chose control because you did want to become an everlasting AI god, then I am worried.
Seems like a crazy power trip. Yeah.
But there, another significant number, synthesis, the green ending, 22.5%. So a decent chunk of you, green ending folks. Although I would have guessed that number would have been higher.
Yeah. Well, here, let's move on to number 4. This question has a different spectrum. You guys want to explain this?
I can explain this one. So basically what we did is pure Paragon it's a scale of 1 to 5. Mm-hmm. Pure Paragon is 1, and then pure Renegade is a 5. So you can be kind of neutral as Shepherd, or you can do a little bit in between. So we let people answer it's like a sliding scale.
Right. So 1 would be pure, 3 would be completely neutral in the middle. So 2 would be slightly Paragon, 4 would be slightly Renegade, and then full Renegade. So the question is, so for chat and those of you listening at home, do you play as Paragon or Renegade? And would you put a 1 for full Paragon, 2 for slightly Paragon, 3 for complete neutral, 4 for slightly Renegade, or 5 for complete Renegade? Where do you think people ended up? And here's the results. Let's put it up on screen. We've got 1 being pure Paragon at 31.9%, 2 being slightly Paragon at 49.8%, neutral at 28.8%, slightly Renegade at neutral at 8.8%, 28 people, slightly Renegade at 7.3, and then totally Renegade at 2.2. What do you guys think? Did you expect this?
I did not. I mean, I expected more to be Paragon, but I mean, when you add those numbers about the, like the pure Paragon and slightly Paragon, you get about 81, 82%. And that is more than I thought it would be. I'm not at all surprised that the majority, plurality, almost a majority of respondents are slightly Paragon. That's not surprising. But the fact that there's so few who are willing to be neutral to any level of Renegade, that was surprising to me.
Yeah. So I expected it to be like a fairly good amount 1, more for 2, almost no 3, and then up for 4, and then slightly down for 5. I expected it to be like 2 big bumps. And with the Renegade bump being smaller, but still 3 being the least of all of them, because the game doesn't it doesn't reward you for being neutral.
No, it punishes you.
Yeah.
It actually punishes you more for being neutral than it does for being Renegade. And shockingly enough, there's a greater amount of neutral players in our survey than there were in just slightly Renegade. And of course, that difference is only about 5 individuals. So I'm not sure if it's statistically relevant given the number of responses we got, but it's still surprising.
Yeah. I expected less. What do you think, Cloudy?
I wasn't surprised Paragon led in the majority, but I didn't expect it to be this big of a majority. I was saying to Sam, I find this really humorous because it's so funny. It's like the ultimate power trip fantasy. You have all this power in the galaxy and people just want to be nice. Like, it just makes me really happy.
Right. Yeah, I think it's hard for most people to play a not nice protagonist. Like, it kind of grates on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And when you say no, you close off a lot of quests as well. Like, you'll say no to your companions of help me on this, and then you don't get a cool quest. So
true.
That's a great point. I mean, it's very hard to be a completionist gamer while also being Renegade, because there are so many opportunities that are like those doors are closed and you just don't do the quest. And they get better about that from 1 to 3, primarily happening in 2. And some quests are even Renegade locked, but not a lot. I mean, like you said, people will be like, hey, can you help me? And the Renegade thing is to say, no, fuck off. And that's just, that's that. But again, yeah. Wow. 81, 82% of players, somewhat at least somewhat Paragon. Now I play as Paragade primarily, so I'd fall in 2, I think. The 2 category.
Yeah.
But again, yeah, just overall response to this question from my perspective, it's surprising to me that it was even close between neutral and Renegade.
Yeah. All right, moving on to number 5. Do you think the indoctrination theory, did I mess up that word? Indoctrination theory has valid points. Do you think there's anything valid about it?
Sorry, I was making a face. It's just
indoctrination theory. Yeah. So the options were yes, no, or somewhat. So what do you think? What would you go with? And what did you expect?
I expected yes. I expected a majority of people to say yes, it has valid points. Failing that, I expected, a plurality to say somewhat, but I certainly did not expect a plurality or a majority of players and respondents to say that no, it doesn't have valid points, just from what I've gathered from online forums.
Right. All right. So I'm putting up on screen here. We've got the results. 45.9% say somewhat. The next highest is no at 27.7%, and then 26.4% say yes. Cloudy, what do you think about this?
I really thought it was going to be a lot of yeses, because when Mass Effect 3 came out, a lot of people were dissatisfied, to put it politely, about the ending. So I could see a lot of them hoping the indoctrination theory was a lot more like possible as a reason for why all of this happened. So I really thought the yeses and then somewhats were going to be flipped on this.
Because the question is, does it have valid points? Not is it canon, not is it 100% insurmountable, but do you think there's some valid points there? Right? It's a kind of a very small ask. Like on a political spectrum, if you were to say like, hey, you skew more this ideology, but do you think the other ideology sometimes has some valid points? I mean, you kind of be lying with yourself if you said no. Like sometimes they do. Like,
right.
You may not like them, but sometimes they do.
I worded it that way on purpose. Because there is this, argument in any indoctrination theory discussion online. It inevitably boils down to the denier saying, well, it's not canon. And you're right, it's not canon because the Mass Effect developers already confirmed that. That's not what they had in mind. But and so that debate has been settled, and I'm not interested in that debate.
Right, that's not the question.
Right. So I said, do you think the indoctrination theory has valid points? Because I just wanted to know how many people are entertained by it. How many people are entertaining this notion? And so 45.9% are at least giving it some level of thought, which is not surprising to me because, like Cloudy said, so many people were disenfranchised by the ending of Mass Effect 3 when it first came out because they felt like their choices didn't matter. So historically, even in politics, when people feel disenfranchised, they might flock more toward fringe and conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, we got to keep going. We got to keep the show on track. We're moving up to number 6 here. Who do you think is the benefactor in Andromeda? This is an Andromeda question. Who do you think the benefactor is? There are a lot of options here. Can I see them all? Oh my gosh.
There were options that we provided, and I'll give you the main options that we provided. And then there was an other section where they could answer themselves. So here are the main options that we provided. Cerberus / the Elusive Man, the Citadel Council, the Shadow Broker, the Reapers / the Catalyst, a new character, or the Geth. And then there was the other one.
Then there was like fill in the blank, which isn't the main focus of it, but it'll be interesting. We'll highlight some of those. So, what did you guys expect?
I had no idea what to expect. I guess I expected a lot of people to say Cerberus.
That's what I would have put my money on, that being the first.
Yeah, that would have been the first for me. But I did not anticipate as many people answering the Reapers and the Catalyst as they did.
Yeah.
Cloudy, how about you?
I really thought it was going to be the Shadow Broker because they already had audio files of Liara in that game. I was like, oh, they've already kind of put foot in the door of setting her up as the benefactor in this. So
yeah,
I thought it was really possible.
Well, here's the results. I've got them up here. We've got let's see, 30.1 is a new character. That's the highest one. And then 29.4 is Cerberus or the Elusive Man. 25.5 is the Shadow Broker. So those three are very close. Then we have down at 3.6% the Citadel Council and the Reaper / Catalyst at 2.3%. And then we have this assortment of other ones here. Things like haven't gotten far enough, or I didn't play Andromeda, or
Jeff Bezos' Descendant was my favorite.
Jeff Bezos' Descendant, yes. Unsure didn't play. A lot of Unsure didn't play. So you could probably group those into a solid percent.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot of I don't know, I didn't play it, or I didn't get far enough in Andromeda. I saw a lot of that.
We got a Sam.
One that stood out to me. Yes, Sam, the AI. One that stood out to me, pretty interesting to me, was someone related to the Leviathan. That was a unique answer. Whoever wrote that scored brownie points with me because, of course, I'm a huge fan of that DLC in the original trilogy, and that would be interesting. But yeah, we had a wide variety of assortment of answers, and undecided was a pretty common one if you group those in with didn't play Andromeda.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, and I have a message to say to all these people that answered and said Andromeda isn't real, Andromeda is not canon, I don't care about Andromeda, blah, blah, blah. Look, I hate to burst your bubble, but as much as you may not have liked Andromeda, and this is coming from someone that didn't really like Andromeda, as much as you may not have liked it, it existed, it was real, it happened, it's Mass Effect, it's canon, just like, Tom and I have spoken about this. I'm not a huge fan of ESO, but I'm a huge Elder Scrolls fan, and I'll still accept everything in ESO to be canon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just because you don't want to play a game doesn't mean that the writers don't consider it to be legit part of the story in the universe. So here we go, number 7, and we just time check, guys. We're about halfway through the first 14, and we're already half an hour into the show. So either we have to do 3 episodes, or we have to go faster. This is where we're at.
Well, I think we can go faster because some of these next questions are,
fairly quick.
I don't anticipate us having a lot of discussion about them.
So I think this one can be quick because we have a ton of results because it looks like it was a right in your answer kind of thing, right? The question is favorite gun in Mass Effect. And we got so many right in answers, over 100. And guys, is there anything that stood out? I see the Black Widow a good number of times.
Black Widow is definitely the most prolific answer in this spreadsheet of answers. Mm-hmm. And failing Black Widow, Cloudy, I think you said that you saw a second most popular one.
The second one was the Matic, which I have never used. It came in at 10% after the Black Widow at 12.5%, but the one that was missing was the Typhoon, which you guys, it's such a good gun. Just give that gun to Garrison. It's a walking game at that point. It's a great gun.
I support that.
I like this answer. The one that goes pew pew.
I saw one that said Gunny McGunface.
Gunny McGunface. Yeah, some people wrote things like, I don't remember the names. Some people have listed more than one. We got a big variety. Yes. But what's cool about this is the number of different answers. Like, this shows that a lot of people have different play styles. They want different guns. Yes, some of them are, skewed to the top of the list, but there's just a lot of variety.
Absolutely.
Here.
The plurality only had 12%. So, and yes, the Matic is incredibly high damage per second for those who like to min-max. So if that's your thing, choose the Matic. But yeah, I do see a few people said the Typhoon, but not nearly as many people as I would have thought. Pro tip for gaming, if you want Garrus to go God mode, invest all the points in weapon damage, give him the Typhoon, and it's pretty fun.
There you go. Well, hey, we need to go thank our patrons real quick, and then we're going to get on with the rest of the questions. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Message coming in. Patching it through.
I am sovereign, and this station is mine. I like the sound of that.
Lewis MD in chat says, I wrote in James Gunn. That is not a gun. I'm sorry. That is a director. Welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we get to thank our patrons. I'll try to make this quick, but we do have some new patrons to welcome in. People like, I don't remember, did we do N7 Muse last time? Sometimes the dates get a little mixed up. And then Cyclops 88 and Captain Shanko and Rowan and Kent L. Welcome to the Patreon. Thank you so much for signing up. And we have to shout out all of our patrons, all 64 of you. Thank you so much. And our Captain Shepherds, Kolkashins, Captain Shanko, Kira C, Lieutenant Ticino, Pipe Man, and William. Thank you so much to all of you guys. You guys are amazing. Patreon.com/Mass Effect Lorecast if you're looking to help support the show or just want to check out all the cool stuff you can get. Lots of stuff over there. Sam and I have been working on the new shirts for year 2, and that will be up starting next month. So get in on that. I've also been working with Patreon on how to work out the whole retiring system so that you get year 1 if you still sign up now, and then you can get in on getting year 2 also. Turns out the thing that they told me like 6 months ago isn't maybe true. So I'm working with customer support. I thought, according to them, that you could retire a year of shirts, and so people who get in on the end of the year would continue to get them throughout the rest of the year. But it seems like now they're saying, well, that's not really a thing. We didn't implement it. And I'm like, what the heck? I can't be the only person who's giving their patrons years worth of stuff. So I'm working on figuring that out. So more news on that. But if you, as of next month, are signed up as a tier 4 or higher, you'll be getting new set of shirts. They look awesome. We'll share them very soon. And if you're tier 3, you'll get some stickers. So but other than that, stay tuned for more news about how this shakes out. I'm going to see what we can do. But also another way to help us is ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you leave a 5-star rating with some words, we'll read it out on a future episode of the show. And leaving a rating on Spotify is also another way to help us out. It helps a ton. We really do appreciate it. All right, let's move on with the rest of the show.
Spit it out, or are you trying to build suspense?
You're so dense, sir. Obviously, I do not know as much about human relationships as I thought.
All right, so back to this. We have another question with a lot of different answers. Number 8 says, if there was a spin-off Mass Effect TV show / anime, which of these topics or settings would you prefer? And the questions range from the First Contact War, the Rachni War / Krogan Rebellions, a standalone origin stories of the squad mates, Andromeda post-game, Asari Justicars, or CSEC crime drama / film noir detective story. All of those sound fun. What do you guys think? What did you expect would be the top answer?
I'm very biased because this one came from my own noggin. The CSEC crime drama, slightly inspired, by the way, by the Mass Effect Blue Shift podcast. I was just thinking of CSEC like Law and Order SVU.
Yeah.
And how fun of a series that would be. Mm-hmm. I kind of expected that to have more responses than the one that ultimately did end up being the plurality answer. What about you, Cloudy?
As much as I love a good pulpy noir film, I am not surprised by the First Contact War. I think it'd be really cool and exciting to see, and I think it would really set a nice groundwork for Mass Effect, because you don't have to talk about Shepard, and there's also lots of fighting and action to keep people busy.
That's true. Yeah. So the results show that is the top answer, the First Contact War, with 43.7% of results. Next, we have at 18.4, the standalone origin story of the squad mates at 17.1, the CSEC crime drama. So Sam, that one gets in there at third place. The Rachni War at 10.4%. And then next up is the Andromeda post-game at 5.4 and the Asari Justicars at 5.1. So, yeah, I think I would have expected the First Contact War. Everybody likes a good prequel these days.
Given these answers, I think we can take one thing away from them. The fact that, okay, so you look at the First Contact War, that's the most popular one. Behind that, standalone origin stories of the squad mates. Behind that, the CSEC crime drama, and then the Rachni Krogan Rebellions. And then Andromeda and Asari Justicars. I think it means that people would want a series where humans are at least tangentially involved.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a reason why on almost every, get this, in Star Wars, the fact that we have an Ahsoka show coming out soon, that will be the first non-human main protagonist of a Star Wars anything ever. I mean, maybe not the comics and stuff, but like on-screen stuff. And it just goes to show that we want to watch the humans be the main characters because we identify with them. We want them to have cool alien friends because that's cool too. But it's hard for us as an audience to identify with a non-human character, or at least we assume that to be the case.
Cool Alien Friends would be an excellent alternate name to Mass Effect.
Cool Alien Friends. That's going to be the dating sim version that we talked about way back when.
Cool Alien Friends. You know how we were making that band shirt with all the different band names? Well, now I think we should make, TV sitcom names. Starting with Cool Alien Friends.
Cool Alien Friends. That's the sitcom. That's the one where they all hang out at the Central coffee place. It's just called Central Coffee Place. Oh, man.
Central Coffee Place.
That's going to be a hit. All right, let's move on. We got to get through these. Number 9, best villain in Mass Effect. This includes everything from the Elusive Man, Harbinger, Sovereign, the Collectors, Saren, Kai Lang, Udina, the Batarian Bartender, Shepard's Inner Demons, and Shifty Space Cow. What do you think? What did you expect?
Did not expect so many people to say, to respond the way they did for Shifty Space Cow. That's for sure. Wow. Cloudy, what was your first takeaway?
I expected the Elusive Man, because he's the coolest villain I've seen in a video game in a long time. And it's Martin Sheen. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised he took almost 50% of the pie.
Yeah, so yeah, he has 44.8%, the Elusive Man. Then next on the list is Sovereign next on the Saren at 20.3%, then Sovereign at 9.2, then Harbinger at 8.9, and then the next big one is Shepherd's Inner Demons at 5.1. And then the Collectors are 3.5, and then everybody else is like 80 tiny bits.
Yeah, 5.4%. That shifty space cow. You better watch your back and your credits. So,
all right, let's move on to number 10. Who did you romance in Mass Effect 1? The options are
limited, is what they are.
There's only 4: Ashley, Kaiden, Liara, or no one. What did you guys think?
I anticipated a lot more Ashley and a lot more Kaiden.
Claudia?
I did as well. I wasn't expecting this pie. This is ridiculous. This looks fake. It's like so perfectly split between them. And I was not expecting Liara to get 50% of the pie. I was expecting her to win, but not almost half of people. That is very impressive.
Yeah, Liara gets 47%. Next on the list is no one at 24.6.
People would rather romance no one than Ashley or Kaiden. That's what this means. You'd rather be celibate.
Yeah, and then Kaiden gets 14.8% and Ashley gets 13.6. I wonder if Ashley's number is less because Liara skews female looking, like too female looking.
Well, I think what's going on here is that you can romance Liara as both bro and femshep, and if you were to add the percentages of Ashley and Kaiden, you'd get about what is that, 28%. So that's actually more than the no one category. And like Cloudy brought up to me earlier, the people that pick no one, they could very well be saving themselves, quote unquote, to romance Tali or Garrus.
True. There's that. Man, so that's interesting. Any other thoughts on that one?
Not really. I mean, romances in Mass Effect 1 were limited and straightforward, and I think the big takeaway here is that people really like Liara.
Yeah. So the next one, we've got a bunch of options. Who did you romance in Mass Effect 2? And multiple can be selected. So, of course, we have Garrus, Jack, Jacob, Kelly, Miranda, Samara, Tali, Thane, remained faithful to Ashley, remained faithful to Kaiden, Liara, or no one. What did you guys think?
Big old no one coming in statistically significant again.
Yeah. Well, if you were to add up remaining faithful on both of them plus the no one, right, that creates a much bigger number. Yeah. So here, let's pull up the results on this one. I feel like there's a lot to parse on this. So the one with the total that has the highest is Liara, 37.5. Then Garrus at 29.3, and then Tali at 21.5. But if you were to add up, I don't know, I'm just quick math here, remaining faithful to Ashley or Kaiden and then no one, that gets 6.3 plus 6.9 plus 4. So now that's probably the next highest. Then you have Miranda at 15.8 and Jack at 9.5 and Kelly at 7.6. And then all the way down here at the bottom, Samara at 0.9 and Jacob, poor Jacob, at 0.6.
Yeah. So I again, a decent chunk of our audience is choosing to remain celibate in Mass Effect 2. However, I think the Liara Shadow Broker DLC one, I was surprised to see that high of a number, given that it was part of a DLC, and I know that a decent amount of players did not buy the DLC prior to Legendary Edition, of course.
Yeah, so I have to wonder if, like, what percentage of people who answered these, their first playthrough was like Legendary Edition, maybe, because it's been out for a while now, and there's a whole new audience of people who got into the game because of that.
And Cloudy, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember the specifics, but I'm pretty sure that if you romance someone else in Mass Effect 2 before you do the Shadow Broker DLC, then you cannot romance Liara.
No, you can. And you feel guilty as heck. It is awful. Like, if I accidentally did it, I was just like, oh, she'll come up to my cabin, and I was just picking the Paragon stuff, and I was like, oh, no.
Oh,
there's a
no.
romance scene, and then she takes your eye color. It's like a sorry thing, and she's walking out of the ship with your eye color, and you're like, yeah, no one's going to find out about this.
Oops.
Boy.
Oh, boy.
Was the picture, I know that you romanced Kaiden in Mass Effect 1. Was his picture on your desk face down?
Oh, no, you're muted. Oh, wait, unmute yourself. Say that again.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
Might have been
it
flipped
was.
down, and a space hamster was placed on top.
Oh, no.
The space hamster saw everything, by the way, but that makes sense. If you can indeed romance Liara and someone else in 2, and multiple of these answers could be selected, it makes sense why Liara took a commanding 37.5% of that vote. Garrus, of course, only coming in a little bit behind, but Garrus is not, you cannot be polyamorous with Garrus. I mean, I don't think so.
No. Yeah. All right. So next one, we have the romance options for Mass Effect 3. Check these out. We've got Ashley, Garrus, Jack, James, Liara, Miranda, Kaiden, Kelly, Tali, Thane, Trainer, Samara, or no one. And coming out on top again, Liara and Garrus. Liara's at 31%, Garrus at 29.4%. Then next on the list is Tali, again, 22.2%. So some people are just sticking with them, stick with the favorites. And then we have a tie. Kaiden and Ashley tied at 11.8%. And then Trainer at 10.8%. And then Miranda at 7.5%. Jack at 6.5%. And Kelly at 2%. No one at 2.6%. Samara at 0.7%. And James at 0.3%. Nobody likes those human boys.
That's one person. Yeah, that's one person who liked James, and I think I might know who said that. But seriously, again, vindicated. Ashley and Kaiden answers, you are equally significant.
Equal. Exactly equal. That's amazing.
Yeah, both answers. 11.8% of gamers liked romancing Ashley and Kaiden in Mass Effect 3. But, very close answers between Liara and Garrus of most romance. So I would have guessed Garrus and Tali. Liara was a surprise to me.
Yeah. Cloudy, any thoughts?
The biggest surprise to me is that Trainer was so high up because Trainer beat people that you could romance in 2. So she beat out Miranda, Jack, and Thane for more popular. And I was so surprised by that because she's added as the third one, and people complain like, oh, you only get her for one game, so who would romance her? A lot of you, apparently.
Some people are just looking for options, spicing things up.
The other thing, I just thought about it with Liara is maybe people like being able to romance the same person in all 3 games. And Liara is really the only person that you can do that with.
Yeah, but would they know that going in if it was their first time playing?
That is true.
If they've already chosen Liara in the first one, then they see an opportunity in the second one.
That's true.
And, our statistic in the first one was 47%.
Right.
So
that's true. Yeah. Cloudy, did you have something else?
Yeah. So speaking of spicy, I did some cross-analysis. So I was curious, if you play as a really Renegade Shep, who are you romancing? It's Trainer at 16% of Renegade players picking her.
Huh.
Yeah. And so she's, I guess, a really good partner, or like a foil to Evil Shepherd. And then number 2 is exactly split between Tali and Garrus at 10% each. So if you play really Renegade, you're going to romance Trainer, apparently.
Weird. Wonder why that is.
Some people listening to this feel very attacked.
Yeah.
I'd say probably about 11%. But the next question is a different take. Who would you like to have romanced, but you didn't have the option? And people could submit, it was short answer, and they could put different and multiple answers separated by commas. So we have a lot of different answers to this, but we have a few that kept coming up. And I feel vindicated because of how often I've talked about it on my own streams. But one of the ones that came up the most, Dr. Chocolates. I mean, Chocwas.
Dr. Chocolates. Yeah, okay.
Dr. Chocwas came up a lot. And short of Dr. Chocwas, who else did we see, Cloudy?
My personal pick, which is Kasumi, she's a DLC character in Mass Effect 2 that you can't romance, and I was really bummed by that. And then following, I'm not judging. Number 3 is Joker at 4.9% of you, and then 4% for Arya.
Really thought Arya would be higher.
Yeah. Some of these others coming in, like Javik, kind of weird.
You kind of can. You kind of can romance Javik, but it's not in the way that most people would want to. It's okay. So what happens with Javik is if you stay celibate as Femshep and then you do the Citadel DLC, the way that I understand this, I'm still in the middle of my playthrough as Femshep, but if you stay celibate, you do the Citadel DLC, you wake up next to Javik anyway.
Okay.
And it's like, come on.
All right.
That's
weird.
I guess you're going to be forced into a one-night stand with Javik.
Yeah. Yeah, the other one on here is Edie. I think that's interesting.
You know what would suck about having a one-night stand with Javik? I just thought about this. even if you got very drunk and couldn't remember it, he does, and he can make you remember it.
Right? Also, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have one more left for this episode. What class do you play as? Adept, Engineer, Infiltrator, Sentinel, Soldier, Vanguard. Did you guys have expectations on this one?
I did. Again, personally biased, but just given what I've heard speaking to people in the forums and whatnot, the results were not that different from what I've heard. But I really expected Vanguard to take more of the pie. Yeah.
So here goes in order. 27.1%. We've got Soldier, 26.8. Vanguard, Infiltrator at 20.5, Sentinel at 10.7, Adept at 8.5, and Engineer at 6.3. I mean, that jives pretty well with what I would expect too.
Definitely. Just one person is the difference there between Soldier and Vanguard. And I really expected to hear more Vanguard fandom here, because I've spoken to so many people and they're like, yeah, Vanguard and Mass Effect 3 is like superpowers, and it's like, yeah, it is. Also expected Engineer to be higher, only 6.3%. Kind of surprising to me.
Yeah, and I kind of expected that one to be the lowest. Like, I don't know, it just makes sense. For some reason, it's the least appealing to me. Maybe that's why.
Why do you think Soldier would be so high? Because Soldier doesn't have access to those tech or biotic abilities.
Because it's familiar. I can shoot a gun. So I just want to be good at shooting guns because I like to play shooters.
Right. So you just have to focus on one plane of combat instead of multiple.
I'll let the other guys do their magic stuff. I'll just shoot things.
That makes sense. And Soldier becomes a pretty viable class later on. But in the original Mass Effect 3, of course, or Mass Effect 1, you could only wear heavy armor if you were a soldier. And people like wearing heavy armor being protected.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Cloudy, any thoughts?
I was really surprised because BioWare, when they released stats, said 40% of people picked Soldier. So we are way under the margin for that one. It's like 27%. That's way less. And
to jump in real quick, that may have been a more male group than the group that we got on this. Like, I would assume that men are more likely to skew Soldier on this than women are. And I think we probably have more women chiming in on this survey than on the BioWare one.
Yeah, the BioWare one was pulled directly from the gamer profiles, so they just pulled it from the game, so no one had to fill anything out. But yeah, I would agree there might be a bias here of gender on Twitter.
Yeah, my guess is that women were more diverse in their choices.
Yeah, I think certainly our demographic that we've polled is significantly different from the BioWare one, and I'd love to know their methodology. But I think with this class thing, the difference between Soldier and Vanguard, we can take that and kind of extrapolate some other inferences that there's a decent amount of people who play as a Soldier and or Vanguard who also chose Destroy, no matter which of those classes they picked, and no matter what they picked, Soldier, Vanguard, they also preferred the Black Widow, which is interesting because I'm a Vanguard. I like using the Black Widow in Mass Effect 3, even though Vanguard is definitely not a sniping class.
Yeah, it's just fun to snipe stuff. But, well, guys, we got to wrap up this episode. We've got 10 more. 10 more? We've started at 15 to 25. 10 more questions. 11 more questions to go through. Math is hard. And we'll be doing those on the next episode. But let's wrap this up. Cloudy, you want to share anything you've got going on or ways that people can reach out?
Yeah, I'm in the Robots Radio Discord, just Cloudy Atlas. And I also have a Twitter. It's also Cloudy Atlas, but 22. And I post Mass Effect art. Awesome. Sam, you got anything cool going on?
As always, I'm streaming Sassy Shepherd Saturday. Didn't have time for it this weekend. I was out of town, but I did stream a little bit earlier on Thursday. So if you want to keep in touch with my schedule for streaming, I'm pretty up to date on my Twitter about it. You can follow me at In7TheLegend on both Twitch and Twitter. But I will be coming up on the midway point of Mass Effect 3 on my first FimShep playthrough, so be sure to follow me there. And that's about it.
Awesome. This show goes live on twitch.tv/robotsradio. That's also where I stream games and hang out with the community. I'd love to chat with you about all the different lore stuff that you are interested in and, just hang out and talk sometime. So come on by. That's what we got for this episode. But if you're in live chat, we're stringing together both of these recordings together, so don't go anywhere. We're going to follow up with the second recording here. If you are listening to this at home, don't worry. We'll be dropping this next episode at the normal time, which is now on Mondays because our new recording time is on Fridays. Everything's kind of mixed up. Don't worry. We'll remind you in the future. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you next time. Stay safe out there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mass Effect Lorecast. We'd love to hear your opinion and thoughts on the lore of Mass Effect. Reach out to us on Twitter at Mass Effect Cast or check out the Robots Radio Discord. Also, you can send us an email at masseffectlorecast@gmail.com.